So Ray, you were mentioning earlier about a collision you went to with some serious injuries.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I'll just go back just a little bit. So at this exact same location, so it's on the Princess Freeway in Williams Landing, heading towards Geelong, just where the new rail bridge was. It must have been 3 weeks before, at this exact same location. So it was the Palmers Road exit. Before they'd done all the duplications and stuff, the traffic used to bank up onto the freeway.
Yep.
And there was a fatal there. So a car had hit the rear of another car that was waiting in the queue. The gentleman passed away, and we attended the scene, obviously. And I wasn't informant in regards to that. I was just helping out with everything that happened.
Yep.
And I just remember that scene as it was, like they're leaning over the gentleman to assist the wife, who was still alive at that stage. And I just remember the massive scene it was, but I just remembered that it was a car, the van that was gaining speed had hit a vehicle that was stationary waiting to turn off. So the cars had all backed off. Anyway, not to be flippant, but that occurred, and we processed that scene. About 3 weeks later, I was working in the area again, and the call came up, and it was the identical same spot with the same circumstances again. So the cars were stationary, waiting to get off at Palmers Road, and a car had hit the rear of this vehicle. I can just remember me thinking, this is going to be a fatal, and this is mine. So it was kind of my turn or my go to go to this.
Yep. Sorry, was this during the day, during the night?
It was kind of 4 o'clock-ish, that kind of, everyone's kind of knocking off, factory workers are knocking off, kids getting picked up from school, relevant. So it was that kind of time, So we rushed there, obviously. And I remember seeing the van that had hit this little car. So it was a small blue, it was maybe an Astra, something like that, like a small hatchy type of thing, but it's like a sedan, between a sedan and a hatch, one of those things. And the van had hit that car. So the van was speeding up, as I found out later. He's doing a head check to get out of the left-hand lane, and he's looked forward, and all the cars were stopped, and he's collided with the back of this car, pushed it into about 3 or 4 other cars. So we get there, and we've got smashed cars. Ambulance are coming along, and we stop the car, and I jump out of the driver's seat, and I have a look at the blue car that had been the first impact. So it'd taken all the force in regards to the collision, and the rear bumper. So the rear of the car had basically crumpled all the way in to the back of the back seats and further in. And I saw the intrusion for the cabin. I could see the crush value of it.
Yep.
I was saying, okay, now we're really gotten serious. I was kind of playing it out in my mind that might have been the case, just from what happened a couple of weeks ago in that exact same spot. But anyway, so I run into the car. There's no driver in the driver's seat.
And then when you said you opened the door and there was no driver there and you sat in the driver's seat, I was wondering, where's the fucking driver?
The driver just walked out of the car. She just walked out. And she happened to be an unaccompanied learner who was driving the car. For what reason, who knows? But she was driving. And I jump into the driver's seat and I look back.
Into the back of the car?
Into the back of the car. And there was a young girl there. And her chest was pressed up against the back of the front seat. And then there was her, and behind her was the back seat, which had now been pushed her right up. So she was basically just stuck there, and she was moaning. Young girl, maybe 12, 13 years old, school uniform. And she's moaning to me. She's moaning, glass all over her face. And she's got her hands up. And I start talking to her, and I'm just saying, look, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. I grabbed her hand, held onto her hand. I brushed her hair off her forehead, brushed all the glass off her face, and said, it's all right, so my name's Ray, I'm not going anywhere, I'm with you here. Where does it hurt? She goes, all over. Okay, just a second. I get on the radio, I'm a little bit more pressed this time. I'm saying, oh, we got sergeants coming here. This is a big collision. I need backup. I need people to come here now. Yeah, this is major stuff.
Yep.
Ambulance, fiery start pulling up. This time we've got the freeway shut except for one lane getting through on the right hand side. So we're creating massive traffic issues as well. Just like, man, there was so much going on. You know,
and I'm smiling and laughing because I could imagine on the radio there'd be some 265 or some 150 saying, when do you think the road's going to be open? You're going to need ETA when the road will be open?
Yeah, and it did come up.
Yeah,
it did come up.
I've been there.
And like I might...
And it's sort of like, how long's a bit of string?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
we've got to process this.
Well, we're dealing with human beings here. Can you just... people might wait 45 minutes. Well, that's just too bad.
Yeah.
So I've got this young girl, obviously, in the car. I've got other vehicles that have been collided with off to the left, but they're all kind of working their own little magic out. They're kind of working themselves out. I had another unit arrive, then I had the sergeant arrive as well, but there just didn't seem to be enough coppers there for the magnitude of what I'd witnessed. I was Johnny on the spot. I saw it all. The ambulance came and we started treating people. Obviously, the car had to be ripped apart to get this young lady out.
Yep.
I was holding her hand. As soon as the ambos came up, I said to her, look, the ambulance are here to look after you now. And I just got out of the way, started taking notes. And as we do, you start just writing everything you can down. Regos, who was driving. So just trying to piece together what had happened. And in that blue car there was 3 people that were injured. So there's a young girl in the back, the passenger, front passenger, and the other lady that was in the back that could actually walk out of the car. So it was an offset. So the car had been hit offset in the right hand side, and it was a baby that had been injured. Anyway, the ambulance had come there, and they were triaging the whole thing. I'm talking to multiple people, multiple agencies about what's going on. By that time, fireys had hoses all over the road. The ambulance commander was there in the tabard. Speak to the ambos as well, because as you know, ambulances come, and before they go, where are you going? Where are we taking these people? To try and keep some kind of coordination, because your mind's going in a million different ways, trying to cover all your bases, as well as having somebody sit with the offending driver, who at this stage is just sitting in his van, And I distinctly remember the baby sitting on a gurney, sitting on the ambulance bed, sitting there, and the baby had this look on its face like it was in total peace. But it was sitting there. And I said to the ambulance one of the ambulance ladies, I said, "Where's the baby going to?" And they said, "Well, Royal Children's." She goes, "But the baby's really sick." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And she just looked at me and said, "The baby's really sick." And at that stage, I thought, the baby might pass away here.
Yeah.
So that was one conveyed. The second got conveyed again, I think, to the Austin. I can't remember which, to the Alfred, sorry, because major trauma goes to the Alfred. And the young girl they're cutting out, like that, they're still manipulating this car somehow to extract her with some form of, being able to put a spine board on and all the rest of it. It was a massive operation. And I spoke to the ambulance commander, and he's on the radio, and he kind of came, he sought me out, being the informant. He goes, "You're looking after this?" And I said, "Yeah, it's me." He goes, I'm trying to get an air ambulance to land on the freeway to get this girl to the Royal Children's Hospital." And it was, there were different points during a collision where things kind of start to change. Your mind changes, your thought process changes as well. I was kind of at that stage, I said, okay, this is absolutely huge. Like, it was just, I think the grandeur of it all was just huge, like what had occurred had now turned into something absolutely major. As a result, we couldn't land the chopper on because one wasn't available. So had it been available, it would have been there.
Yep.
So she eventually got conveyed to the Royal Children's as well. But during the whole collision, it was just that cacophony of people and trucks and the ambulance and dealing with the parents, the people, dealing with the offender. And right where it happened, there's the new rail bridge that goes for Williams Landing train station. There's this new funky bridge that goes across that's got a stairway. And at one point I remember looking up at that stairway and there would have been 30 people there, all watching, like a grandstand view of what was going on. And it was just like, wow, that's, you know, I'm dealing with people's lives here. We've got debris all over the road, still measuring stuff, trying to deal with, you know, the father arrived on the scene and was just so angry. Like he just, obviously with emotion,
yep,
was going off. We had to control him as well. The driver still had to be taken back and be drug tested and alcohol tested and interviewed as well. And I just remember that just being this huge scene, massive scene. Once it was all cleared, and I guess I'm skipping ahead a bit here, I probably had 6 months of just dealing with the family, just dealing with like everybody survived. So it was like a bit of a blessing there. The baby was okay, remarkably fine. Young girl ended up being okay, and the person in the passenger seat was also okay. But I had 6 months where I was attending medical meetings with the family as a police representative, just making sure that I took all these notes, just making sure how it was all progressing. Because when I finally submitted the brief of evidence, it was like a telephone book. So I got all the medical records for all of them. You know, like the young girl had a halo put on, and during that process, it actually fractured her skull. So to save her spine, they actually inflicted another injury upon her, which was just par for the course apparently. But yeah. So that was a huge collision. I remember other coppers rolling up there, like, mate, you know, like this is really.
Bigger than Texas.
It was bigger than Texas, mate. It was like 4 lanes, you know, 3 lanes of a 4-lane freeway, just covered in stuff. And like I said, the 3 weeks earlier that had closed the freeway, it was newsworthy because it closed the freeway. So traffic chaos going out to the west was just like nobody's business. Like they're diverting cars and they're doing all kinds of stuff. People were stuck in traffic for hours on that day. So I was kind of like, that was the next one that happened. And it was just, it was massive. Huge day. Yeah. So
what ended up happening with the truck driver?
So he was driving a van, so like a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter type of Ford Transit type of thing. He was just delivering groceries. He had like 1 pallet of stuff, and that was just all pushed. So he wasn't overloaded. There's nothing wrong with the car. Mechanical inspection came back all clear. He was one of the people that doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't take any alcohol.
Just careless?
Just careless.
Yeah.
It's just careless. Like I said, he was driving, checking his mirrors, and the traffic stopped. Like 3 red lights, and it's just like he couldn't move. Yeah, so it was one of those things that was like absolutely tragic. I mean, the kind of finger of God that no one passed away. But of course, at that time, you rev yourself up. Like before it had even gone to the collision, actually, as soon as I heard the collision, hypersensitivity is like at 110% because you're thinking, last time I was there, exact same circumstances, I remember this is what's going to happen again. So you kind of mentally kind of prepare yourself, don't you, for that?
Yeah, you would with something like that, especially when you first arrive.
Yeah, and then it's just chaos.
And with the injuries you've described, especially to the baby, with the ambo saying, not good, and the young girl pinned, saying she's in pain all over, you would think sort of fatal yet.
Absolutely.
But this could well be a fatal in 10 hours, 12 hours.
6 days.
6 days.
We don't know. And that's when I think when you're in that situation where, okay, it's not a fatal, but you've got those, like, is everyone out of ICU yet? You're on the phone constantly, aren't you, to the hospital. The hospital's putting us through the ringer saying, well, who are you? We're not going to give you that information. So, okay, well, I'm going to drive down there and got to get the time in the working day to actually do that because got certain targets to meet and certain pressures thereof.
It is we touched on it in the last interview we did with you. Just this huge event, whether it's that one or
Yeah.
anyone that we've all been to, and you just need time to process it all,
Yeah.
both mentally, but also in a real world scenario, like all the paperwork, all the interviews, all the statements, all the, and you don't get much
No.
chop out.
And in the end, I mean, we're human beings as well. Like, we go home to our families and to our social calendars and whatever. So, us personally, like, yeah, sure, we need time to process it as far as, yeah, the paperwork's got to be in, you've got to do this, got to get all these statements, got to, get the TIS reports in and blah, blah, blah. But actually, us as human beings need to process it as well. We've just witnessed something that was absolutely horrific, decimated an entire family.
Yeah.
Who were doing a school pickup. It's just like, that was like so far on the back burner that no one even considered it really. When you think back to it, no one considered that element,
It's just, can you make sure you do the 72 things on the list?
Exactly, exactly.
And as soon as possible.
Yeah, and it might be a one-word kind of tick the box. Oh, how you going after yesterday? If you got that, if you got that at all, it'd be like, yeah, hey, well, yeah, brilliant, thank you, yeah.
Am I broken, or am I just sick? Have you spoken to anyone about it? Lonely from the fighting. Are you broken?